Just to sort of focus on creators and Spotter in general, we really work with the top creators across the YouTube platform. So think MrBeast, Dude Perfect, Jordan Matter, a lot of what have become really household names. And they, are very much shaping and redefining the way consumers view and engage with content. And so what we see is these creators are really building expectations with audiences and engagement with audiences in new and very different ways because of the authenticity and the uniqueness of the content that they create and they bring to life on YouTube. And so some of the things that we've seen is really audiences purposely seek out this content, and there are really these tune-in moments, if you will. We know, for example, that MrBeast posts a video on a very regular schedule, typically on an every other Saturday basis. And so a phenomenon that happens is when he posts a video, audiences very quickly thereafter tune in and watch this content. They watch on their own time on a demand schedule, but what we see is about 40% of that audience cumes in the first 48 hours, and within the first week, 60% of that audience has watched that single video. And so we see that sort of these audiences really engaging with this content in very new and different ways. The other thing that we know is that there's a lot more diversity in terms of the type of content that's posted. And so, for example, 79% of all YouTube multicultural viewers actually seek out content that makes them feel connected to people where they identify. And so again, being able to have this authentic relationship with the content when a viewer is tuning in is very meaningful and purposeful. And what that means for brands is that they can get closer to content and audiences where the viewer is very much having an experience that is personal to them. And so when a brand is associated with that content, the audience that's experiencing it is much more receptive. And obviously that drives much greater impact for campaign performance.
So could you just tell us a little bit about what the distinction is between an influencer, let's say, and a creator, and then also explain a little bit more about how advertisers can tap into this authenticity and creativity that creators bring to their audiences?
Sure. So we talk a lot about this, and I do believe that there's still a lot to learn in the creator economy and the creator space. Specifically, we see that a lot of individuals use the word creator and influencer in a synonymous fashion. For us at Spotter specifically, we are very focused on working with creators. And the way that we define a creator is someone that is really posting content on a very regular cadence. It is all long form content, typically around 22 minutes in length. The viewer experience tends to be on the connected television, and oftentimes is watching with members of the family, again in this tune-in fashion. The creators that we work with are very much becoming these media empires. So you look at, Hollywood Lots and then compare that to Dude Perfect's headquarters down in Frisco, $100 million, investment for their business. And this is really the future of storytelling. And so that's the way we lean in and think about the creators and how we want to help them win.
So how can advertisers really stand out by collaborating with creators?
Sure. I mean, again, you sort of bring up a really valid point. We know that YouTube dominates the living room, the TV glass in terms of minutes watched, and they continue to do that. And the reason being is because people are tuning in and watching well over 40% more creator content than they did a year ago. And the other really exciting part about that is well over 90% of all new content that's being uploaded to the YouTube platform comes from creators. And so you see this really beautiful place where all this long form content is coming to live, and that's where Spotter really thrives, and that's our focus. So our company really wants to help creators win, and we do that in a variety of ways. The first is through capital deployment. So we've deployed well over $950 million in capital to only the top creators on YouTube. So we very much are focused on data and insights that let us know about the engagement of these creators. And so that's the way we identify with who we're partnering with. And then what that really has sort of turned into is looking at building a community of creators around this data, around these insights, around community, connecting creators to creators so that they can continue to learn and grow and exponentially grow their business. we've also built AI tools to help them with accelerating their ability to not only get more content published and pushed into market, but to title content in a way that is more engaging and pops, or to build title cards that allow for a user to discover and find their content. So all of that really has helped us build this really engaging, best of the best creator content on YouTube that we then in turn can take the data and insights and help brands reach audiences around this creator content and identify kind of with the audiences that matter to them and associate with the creators that are the most engaging creators and the best of YouTube.
First of all, how do you match a creator, let's say, with a brand? Maybe you could talk a bit about that, and then from there, how the relationship evolves.
Sure. So there's a couple different ways. I would say, again, back to sort of the data. Everything is rooted in data and insights, which is a hugely important part of our business. And so that really does allow us to help brands reach audiences around the creators that have the highest affinities for either their products or audiences that are most relevant to their experience. I'd say the other thing is we've got some new proprietary data and tools that help us understand what I would refer to in sort of a legacy streaming world is almost like a bingeable experience. So we know for a creator that we work with, Jordan Matter, that 70% of the time after somebody watches a single video of Jordan Matter and Salish, they go on to watch 40% of the time another Jordan Matter video, and then 70% of the time another creator within our portfolio. And so we can start to build these experiences for creators where they can curate an audience around creator content that is very relevant to them in a very data-driven way. And the other piece of this is because there is so much clutter and so much noise in our advertising community and on YouTube in general, we've also partnered with YouTube specifically to help sell what we call creator takeovers. So for example, when MrBeast posts a video on a Saturday, and I mentioned kind of the viewing behavior that happens, that reach is enormous. It's greater than that of Sunday Night Football or Thursday Night Football on linear and streaming TV combined. And so what we can do is we can actually allow an advertiser to own that media moment for a period of time and have 100% share of voice and really break through. And we see the results follow as a result.